I'll go ahead and call this regular meeting of the Board of Selectmen to order for Tuesday morning, October 21st, 2025. Thank you all for coming. First item on our agenda is appointments. We're going to consider appointments to the new Pear Tree Point Building Committee. We've had a number of applications and a few other things come up. We are not quite ready to decide that. So could I get a motion to table for now the appointment of members to the Pear Tree Point Building Committee? Monica moves, Marcy seconds, all in favor? Okay. Plus two of our colleagues are not going to be here today, so I thought it would be better to have that discussed with everyone available. So that's that. Next and last item on our agenda is department head reports. We got a few folks today. Let's start off with Mr. Homicki with the Tax Assessor's Office. Good morning.
Yes, good morning to you. The Assessor's Office is quite busy handling permits from Jeremy in the Planning and Office and Building Department, the Land Use Boards. The highlight of the report is twofold. Region-wide, the motor vehicle tax is in place with changes that were dramatically modified last year by the legislature using the MSRP and depreciation schedules. It should eliminate the highs and lows on grand list changes and give it continuity and consistency in the budget process. And we only had one appeal to the September hearing process. We generally average anywhere 15 to 20. So that's gone well. And the highlight of the office is focusing on changes and activities at Darien Commons, the Heights Crossing, Thorndale Circle, Parklands Drive, and the Corbin District. I've reached out and met with some of the owners and developers in place, not only to anticipate where the values are and how they're going to affect the grand list this year, but even over the next 2 or 3 years. So things are moving real well, and that's the highlights of my report.
A couple of questions on the new methodology for vehicle assessments. Have you had a lot of questions about that or concerns from voters? Is there, the reason I'm asking is wondering if there's any value in trying to get a more detailed explanation out to folks.
It was implemented last year, applicable for the 24 grand list for this past July. People that would come in routinely almost every year because of damaged, dented cars issues and high mileage were a little bit frustrated anyway, but the overall value using our mill rate didn't really affect their property tax to any higher degree.
Was there any big shift among cars? So in other words, some folks having bigger tax bills this year or a lot less tax bills?
No, we didn't see that redistribution of the tax any different than what it was before.
Okay. One of the things you talk about in here is just the new construction that's going on for these commercial districts. So one of the things that happens is that it's valued at some number before, and then there's demolition, and then there's a construction process, and now you have a new building. So the same is true for a residence. So in terms of valuation, could you just explain to viewers sort of how to think about the valuation of a property that is either demoed or starts major construction through that process to the end? How does the valuation work, and how, as a property owner, am I taxed during that process?
I can answer that quickly by saying the location is just as important as the zoning approval. I'll use Jerry Nielsen's Thorndale Circle as something that had some offices that were somewhat vacant, maybe going through some issues of age, functional and physical obsolescence. Those values for the physical buildings were offset with a reasonable value on office use and office park use. When you approve 175 apartment units, it adds value to the vacant lot and the land. So even though they might be tearing down the buildings, we will have an incremental increase just on the land value because the zoning is just as important as the location. That's why we're going to do the deeper dive and not only looking at the cost approach on all these complexes, we're also looking at the cash flow between landlord and tenant and the money that they're going to derive based on a gross income. That comes into play on the income approach in concert with the cost approach and regional market sales. So it will be a positive effect on the grand list incrementally over the next but really hit home in about 2.5, 3 years.
As a property owner, though, how does that actually work? Let's say I'm being taxed at $1 million valuation today on my old building.
Right.
And then that building's demolished and I'm not getting any rent for a while and it goes through construction. I have this new place and I'm getting, so how frequently does the valuation change, or does my tax bill change, say, throughout that process?
Initially, the value will go down with the demolition of that construction. The The land value will stay in place primarily for residential properties. Once the new construction is up and running, if there's a certificate of acceptance or a certificate of occupancy, we prorate it based on the timeline from the CO date up to the end of the assessment year. And there would be an increment tax bill that would go to Kathy, our tax collector.
So it would capture the different phases of construction,
Yes.
so start, finish, all of that. So for this period, it was demolished and just land value. For this period, it was under construction, COs issued here, and you come in and sort, these are the different taxes you've paid at this time, and there's an adjustment all at the end to
Exactly.
capture all that. Does it work the same way for a residence?
Yep,
Okay, got it.
basically. Yeah.
Last question for me. On the West Cog effort for appraisal data and kind of their mapping system, could you just explain to everybody what that process is and where you are in that?
I know that West Cog because it's been 3 years since we started exchanging the data that we have within our computer system mass appraisal system. It's a very sophisticated detail. There's maybe 3 or 4 different software companies statewide, and the state, under the Office of Policy Management, Intergovernmental Relations departments are working with the Council of Governments to see if they can do things to streamline things, be it any way. I think it might come into play with the formula used for road renovation works to school updates and renovation works. It pretty much values the town and the opportunity to pay taxes.
Got it.
So it does come into play. West Cog is intimately involved with that exchange of data.
Okay.
Yep.
Questions for Tony?
Yeah, Tony, going back to the Thorndale, so is the land value different from commercial to the multifamily, or does the land value number stay the same?
It depends on the specific property, but commercial zoning approvals will have a higher intensity use of the parcel, so the land value will go up.
So on Thorndale, will it go up or not?
It will,
It will.
yes. Even with the demolition of the buildings.
And that's because of the fact that a multifamily apartment complex is being built, or because there was a zoning change?
Both. You have multifamily apartments going in place. It's value based on future benefits, and with the zoning approval,
Yeah.
someone could walk in today and make an offer, which will definitely be higher than the office use that was there in place.
So that land value number goes up as soon as that permit is changed, the permitting process is finished?
Actually, as soon as the zoning approval occurred, as of the assessment date of October 1 of 25.
Okay.
Marcy, any questions? Thank you, Tony. Appreciate it. Okay, next up, Darien Emergency Medical Service, Mr. Larchevek.
Good morning.
Good morning.
I just want to highlight one thing on my report and then one quick addition. We took receipt of a new ambulance last month. It's in service due to the incredible generosity of Lady Marion Weatherstone and the Weatherstone family. This is the 5th ambulance that they've donated to support the town of Darien's EMS service, so we're grateful for that. And then I'd be remiss if I didn't mention that our annual Haunted House fundraiser takes place this Sunday at Post, 1:30 to 3:30, 3 levels of fright. So please come down and bring your family and friends.
Is the fright dependent on how much you're donating as to how scary it is? It's a very scary donation.
We can work that into the
I'm sure you can.
next annual one. Other than that, we remain good. I'll answer any questions.
Yeah, a couple from me.
Sure.
I would echo just the thanks to the Weatherstone family. I mean, that's amazing that they've
Yes.
donated 5 ambulances like that, and their philanthropy is much appreciated, and frankly, anyone who does things like that, it's a great thing in Darien that we have citizens in town that are willing to support
fortunate.
our civic activities like that, so thank you to that family. A couple things in your report. One of the things I saw there, it's got the community emergency medical responder class, where you've got, I guess, civilians participating in that. Are there any other offerings that you have or that are, say, for just for civilians, or people are interested in just being smarter about this stuff besides this, or?
Sure. So we offer CPR, defibrillator training, overdose awareness, and use of Narcan. We have Stop the Bleed training available, which is, how to, get involved in bandage and pack wounds and use a tourniquet when needed, when someone's bleeding out. So all those courses are available to the public. This emergency medical responder is something we've never done before, but we had some interest, and it's about a 70-hour course, so it took place through the first couple months of the summer. It's a great stepping stone for someone who has an interest in a public safety career. It's a great opportunity if you work in an environment, industry, or business where you're looking to have some knowledge of what to do in case an emergency happens. So we were happy to have, I think, 11 people go through the program.
Okay, and you're good on volunteers, both adults and students, that continues pretty
We
strong?
can always use more, but our student ranks, our freshmen are now as candidates in the program, so we're up to full complement on the student side. Our adults core is growing, which is good to see, but we can always use more.
Okay. And my only other comments, just down in your response statistics there, where you've got, for example, post responded to 502 calls for service and transported 348 patients to area hospitals. One of the things I'm really interested in is trends. So in other words, is it more, is it less? It's hard to react to that number and say, okay, what do I think about that? Is it good, bad, interesting?
Gotcha.
Does it suggest something to us? So when you go through those, think about the both level, which you have here, but also trend as well. And then further, and this just remind everybody, one of the things that is really interesting for us is, what do you guys want us to think about? Here's the thing that you really need to know about, because what we do up here is, we set policy for the town, we provide budgeting, we help departments that need more, we think about resource allocation. So if you've got something that you want us to think about or be aware of, either in your department or because you're seeing something in the industry, if you will, do let us know that. We're always interested in that, but otherwise, a great report. Questions for Joe?
The only question is, how does the public find out about what classes are coming up? Is it all through your website?
We have community classes get posted on the website. We have an email that people can reach out to. We're also happy to arrange classes for groups or organizations, even go to people's homes if it's comfortable for them. But post53.org is the main way to find out.
Perfect.
Yeah, Joe, really quick on the EMR class. This was the first time it was offered?
Correct.
And did you need to cap it at 12, or that was the number that was interested?
That was the number that we felt comfortable between 12 and 15, and I think we started with 12. One person could have completed the class, but in the summertime, it's a lot of work, even for our instructors to come together and do the offering. But we think it was successful, and it worked out well, and now they've become state certified emergency medical responders. So we had some firefighters in the class, some other community partners from other towns. So looking forward to doing it again.
Any idea on if you would do it again, and if so, when?
I think so. It looks like it's going to be a summer program.
A summer? Okay. All right. And then I just wanted to echo on the ambulance, that kind of dedication, and just to your organization is really, really fantastic, and a huge thank you to the Weatherstone family.
Yes, absolutely.
Very generous.
Okay. Thank you, Joe. Appreciate it. Next up, Darien TV, Mr. Cameron.
Good morning. Good news, bad news. First, we'll deal with the bad news. We were very sad to have the passing of the founder of Darien TV 79, David Deaver, who died a couple of weeks ago. And this morning, after this meeting, I'm going to be posting a picture of him in the booth at TV 79, so he will be constantly looking down on whoever is running the camera and just reminding them, point the camera at whoever's talking. An update on the other bad news that we shared a while back, which was that Altice decided on its own, without much notification to us, that they were going to move us from Channel 79 up to Channel 1310. We protested. We got some political support behind our protests, and it wasn't just in this particular franchise, it was in all of their franchises. And they got so much pushback that they said, well, that may be not such a great idea. We're going to move you back to Channel 79. In the interim, of course, we had rebranded from TV 79 to Darien TV, and we're going to stick with that wherever our channel is. Increasingly, our viewership is coming from YouTube or on demand from our website. The other piece of bad news, which is probably new, is that we found out in mid-September that there's an organization called Nutmeg, which has filed with the Public Utilities Commission to basically take over the operation of several, I think more than a dozen franchises, cable franchises in Connecticut, as the community access provider. What that would mean, if it was approved, would be that we would no longer receive funding from cable subscribers. If Nutmeg were the operator of the public and educational and government channels on the franchise, we would no longer have a town-specific channel carrying only Darien meetings to Darien viewers, but they would probably come up with a homogenized channel, which means that if you turned on Channel 79 in Darien, you would see maybe a New Canaan meeting, or maybe a Westport meeting, and maybe a Darien meeting, but it wouldn't be the town-specific channel that we have now. If they also won, they would have the right to claw back thousands of dollars worth of previous grant equipment that we had purchased, and that would make it very difficult for us to continue our operation. So we are obviously organizing in opposition to that. We think that the model that is run by Altice in Lower Fairfield County in this area is highly successful, much appreciated. And what we're doing now is we're gathering our troops, waiting to see how the Public Utilities Resource Authority will respond to all that. I think it's probably not going to be approved, but I think we have to assume that it could be approved, and we have to do what we can to protest it. So much for the bad news. A piece of good news. When I appeared before you last, we announced that we were not going to be able to continue our live stream on YouTube because the vendor that we had been using came up with a 10 times higher this year than previous year's fee, and not in our budget and not realistic. The good news is that we have a new member of the Darien TV 79 Advisory Board, Peter Reardon, who has some expertise on streaming and such things. And he came and sat with me, and we poked around in the equipment that we have, and we found out, hola, we actually have the equipment already and have had it for years. So we are back to streaming 24/7 on YouTube. Good morning, YouTube viewers, at no cost. So we just saved, or he saved the town $2,000. Happy to answer any questions if you have them.
Yeah, I know Peter well, and to have him join the Darien TV board is terrific. It's just a reminder that if you have an expertise or a particular skill set in town that could be leveraged to support government in some way, either to help someone out, join a board or commission, something like that, we really like that. This is a great example of somebody who's got real expertise. He's a super nice guy, really smart, and he's made a real difference literally on day one. So that's just great to have him on. With regard to Nutmeg and all, if it gets to that where you need protest help, that there are a few things will get me out of the office to go out and hold a sign and protest. This is one of them. I would just point out that having something where I've got meetings from other towns, it just means no one's going to watch it. And we'll end up like we did with the Darien Times, which was bought by an outsider, or and they take away local resources. I opened up that paper the other day. There was not a single article about Darien in the paper. And so I just don't read it anymore. That's the Darien Times. So anything we can do to kind of fight this regionalization of our resources, which makes them useless in my view, sign me up. I will help you with that.
Thank you.
One thing I'm curious about, so these Chat GPT assistant that you have that provides these summaries, I love that. I will sometimes get, well, for Board of Selectmen meetings, Mike Wheeler will send it to me just to make sure it's not inaccurate.
Yeah.
And I've provided some feedback. What's your uptake or viewership of those summaries as opposed to, say, just the videos? Or is that growing? Is that a popular thing?
Absolutely. Mike Wheeler and Kerry Wysocki from the TV 79 Advisory Board put together a weekly newsletter that goes out Saturday mornings, I think. It's called The Best of TV 79. And to your point about our local newspaper, Darien Times, not carrying any Darien news, we are filling that vacuum because that newsletter contains a complete summary with Chat GPT analysis and built-in links to every meeting that we have covered in Town Hall in the previous week. So if you missed a particular meeting, you can look at that summary, see what was discussed, click on a link and go straight to that part of the video if you want. So I think that's been very well received. The click-through rate on that is like 64% last week from our opt-in subscribers. And I think that's a real service. People are really embracing it. I get a lot of emails from people saying, thanks for doing this. This is really helpful.
So if I'm watching but I'm not signed up for that, what do I need to do to get signed up? What should the citizens do about that?
You can just go to our website, DarienTV.com, and in the lower left-hand corner, you'll see a little link that says, sign up for our weekly program guide and newsletter. Just click there. Or email me, or stop by the booth, or tackle me when I'm out on my walk. I'd be happy to pull out my phone and put you on the list.
All right, just make sure Joe is there with the new ambulance. Bad to happen. Okay, thank you. Questions for Jim?
Yeah, Jim, just a quick question on the AI summary.
Yeah.
You covered, 79 covers a lot of meetings outside of town hall specific. Are you including those, like DMA and groups like that?
We don't do the DMA meetings. We do rebroadcast them. I want to make sure that we're not trying to step on anybody's toes who's producing things on the outside. We do summarize the Board of Education meetings, and we put that in the newsletter as well, too. But if we're doing something, Darien Men's Association is probably the best example because we try to cover them every week. We don't summarize those.
Right. I agree, it's a great service.
Yep, thank you.
Marcy, any questions? Jim, thank you. That's
You're
great.
very welcome.
Yep.
Thanks.
All right. Next up, emergency management. Mark's not here today. Oh, there you are. I'm sorry, I didn't see that.
Sorry, I got pinned, but I didn't realize it was up there.
Mr. McEwen, nice to see you. How are you?
Nice to see you. How are you?
All good.
Okay. I just want to promote our new alerts 06820 notification system in town for people that are watching us and aren't on our subscription. Please go online to the Darien homepage and sign up. We've transitioned quite naturally. It took a little bit of effort, but we're there and we feel comfortable that we're probably almost to the spot that Code Red was in just as we closed out that notification system. And other than that, there's not a lot to talk about. I do want to just throw out that one of our grants to elevate a home seems to be in a little bit of a stagnant position, and that is a problem because they only have a few months left in their performance period.
So I know the home in question. Is that the homeowner?
Yeah, and I sympathize with them because they gave him a very short period of performance. However, we're not getting to the point where we need to be doing construction, and he's only has like 3 months left. So,
Okay.
as you know, construction takes some time. So I'm
I
a little
will-
fearful that he'll lose his grant.
I will call him today. Okay.
Other than that, I have nothing.
Just for viewers who may not have the background, can you contrast Code Red and Alert 06820 just a little bit? Because Code Red just was really a system where, say, the first selectman or the chief or someone could put out a message to the town, and it would be by phone, right? That you get a phone call and a recorded message that says this is what's going on that you need to be aware of. But Alert 06820 is a lot more comprehensive system. What's the difference, and what
It
can I expect?
really
if
isn't
I
that
sign?
different.
Is it just the phone calls? Is
Code
that
Red
it?
had the ability to do almost everything that this has the ability to do. The difference is you can prioritize how you get your message. Code Red didn't do that. It would send it out according to how we wanted the message to go out. This is the receiver is really driving the message. So if you want it by email or if you wanted it by text, over a phone call, you can get that preference.
Okay, and can you target, for example, phones in, say, a particular area?
Yes.
Let's say there's a
So it's
fire
geographical.
or disaster. Is it not just the residents, but the phones that happen to be in the geography where
Correct.
there's a problem?
Yes. So that geographical instance where you have a small problem area that you want to have people lock in their homes for whatever reason and keep their windows shut, you can do that. And it does actually utilize what's in that as far as the cell phone is concerned. It doesn't change for home phones.
And would it alert
Or business
just the cell phones that are registered in the system, or any cell phone that it finds in that geography?
So it would have to be registered in the
Have to be
system.
registered. So it's just a reminder, this is a,
If we do a high-level activation notification, it will use the state of Connecticut's, and the state of Connecticut has all data in their emergencies. So that would get to every cell phone.
oh, so you
But
could,
you
you
have
could
to-
do that if it was
Correct.
significantly serious?
Yes.
Okay. No, that's great. Well, it's just a reminder to everybody, it's something you really should register for. So where could they go to register?
The town website's the best spot. There's a link to it right from the homepage, I believe, and also emergency management, the police department, all have links to it. If someone doesn't use a computer regularly or has problems using a computer, they can call our office,
Okay, terrific.
the fire marshal's office. And we'll
Questions
handle
for Mark?
No questions. I just thinking about, a way to increase people that kind of opt in, just food for thought. Maybe we could get a QR code that's relative to a login and kind of post them around town. So
They are.
somebody's at the beach, there are?
Yeah.
Somebody's at the beach, and, oh yeah, that's a great idea.
Marley was very instrumental in doing a lot of outreach.
Okay,
So we've had that QR code around the building as well. And
okay.
it's hard to tell how well that type of thing happens because we haven't had a large intake of people signing up. That happened right at the beginning because we made a big deal about we were moving off the Code Red platform. But lately I go in and check and it hasn't increased substantially. Numbers don't mean a lot because so many people had so many different cell phone numbers in the system. When you think about the town, there's about 8,000 residents in the, structures in the town. We're in the 20,000 roughly contact points. So we have a lot in the system, so I feel like we're covered pretty well. But I'm sure there's people that don't pay attention to what's going on and would like to be getting notifications, and I can only beg that they sign up. And they're in the Selectmen's letters, it's out in different public places, so we're doing our best to get it out there.
Thank you.
Monica?
Just an idea, you could put a notice in the tax bill. See if Kathy agrees to that.
Yeah.
But, Mark, just a question on the Cherry Street. I know you worked a lot on that, and for a long time now. The holdup is not the permitting process, right? The holdup is
No.
the construction part?
I'm really not sure, other than I think someone may feel a little bit overwhelmed by the process. If anybody's ever done construction on your home, it's a challenge. And this is a bigger challenge because you have a definitive timeline that has to be met. And, if you're doing work in your house and it takes an extra 6 months, it's no big deal. But if you take an extra 6 months here, it's a problem.
The deadline is the 30th, January 30th?
It's February 2nd or something along
Somewhere
that
in there.
lines. It's a strange date. It came out of nowhere, so.
Construction just has to start by that day.
No, it has to be finished by that day. That's the challenge.
Okay.
They gave a very short window,
And have they started construction?
not to my knowledge.
Okay.
I don't think a building permit's been issued. So there's a lot of things that had to happen, and getting contractors involved and getting pricing and going through the building permit process is probably the quickest part of the whole process. So it's just been a challenge, and I don't know what the holdup is at this point. But I'm going to try to get a request for an extension to the state of Connecticut and FEMA and see if they'll entertain it, but they made it sound like they were not willing to do that when we started, so.
Is the deadline a federal deadline or a state deadline, or both?
It's both.
It's both, okay. Anything else for Mark? Thank you, sir.
Thank you.
Okay, and we're not doing land use today, right, Jennifer? Right, okay. Next up, Jen, Parks and Rec.
We got finance on the list too.
Did I miss that? No. I was told that the red checks are,
Yeah.
it's not a red check, so I will speak with Linda about that. Okay. We'll do Jen first, then Josh, you're up next, okay?
Okay.
Good morning.
So in terms of our big projects, as you know, I'm sure everybody knows, Weed Beach ended up, we will not be moving forward with that. We did not get funding approved, but our pear tree project is moving forward. As was already mentioned, the building committee is in the process of being formed. We are looking to start that on November 3rd with a completion date in the beginning of May. We've had our first pre-construction meeting, trying to get that underway. We're waiting on a more definitive schedule, but we do look to that we're going to be getting this moving. One of the good things is, in talking with the contractor, we do believe we'll be able to have some parking available. So the entire site probably will not be shut down for the duration of the project, so it'll be sporadic. There will be a couple of times when they're doing the paving and some other pieces where maybe the entire lot needs to be closed, but they'll be working with us to keep some public access. So, so that's good. So we're working through all of that. We are having a new position in Parks and Recreation. It's going to be Senior Manager of Recreation Programs and Events. That is currently posted on the website. It will be closing on the 24th of October. The main role of that is going to be taking over the summer camp programs, things that were handled with youth services, and some of the other types of programming, and we've added some other responsibilities into that position. So we're looking forward to that and seeing, hopefully, I know we have quite a few applications in, so hopefully we'll have some excellent candidates. So we're looking forward to moving forward with that. Just in going back, we were able to staff both beaches through Labor Day, which is not always easy as everybody, our lifeguards go back to school. So that was great. Our daily beach permits, we were down slightly because the weather was not optimal, especially at the beginning of the season, and it was always the weekends, it was raining, and then we had some real hot weather. So even though those were down, we did increase the fee slightly, so our revenue was about the same. We didn't see a decrease in that. Our total beach permits that were issued is about the same. Our paid permits are down, and what we're seeing as a trend is the free, as probably most people know, 65 and older are allowed one free beach permit per household, and we've been consistently seeing those numbers increasing. So it's just, I think our population is kind of aging and staying in place, which is nice. It means some of the seniors are staying in town, as was in my report, there's a whole bunch of different numbers in there for you. But so that's a trend that we're seeing. We did run the summer camps this year with Janice Marzano stepped in and helped out with that, had to oversee that program, and we were able to service 372 children within the 4 different camps. So that was another success. Our summer and fall program registration, both of those are down a little bit from last year. For the summer, the main thing that we're seeing there is due to the school calendar, we lost a week where we usually have 1-week programs. So we think that was kind of the major piece there. But again, when we go back and look at trends, where our programming is still up about 115% over where we were pre-COVID. So what we're seeing, what that tells us is people are still utilizing the parks, and that increase has still remained, even though it's dropping a little bit. Our paddle tennis courts at Weed Beach opened this past Monday on Columbus Day on the 13th. Was that last week? Last week, not this Monday. Hours for anybody are Monday through Friday, 9 a.m. to 10 p.m., Saturdays 8 a.m. to 10 p.m., and Sundays from 8 a.m. to 6 p.m. So we do have a lot of block paddle times. We do have paddle lessons, but if people want to just make a reservation or go down there, they can go contact the Paddle Hut directly. And I do not have the number off the top of my head, so you'd have to look on the website, but we have time available. Another thing we did do over the summer was we had our pickle roll experiment. Unfortunately, between the shipping and the ordering, it was only out there for about a month. At Weed Beach, we put it on Court 1. We had about 23 reservations. We weren't really satisfied with the way it was adhering. It was coming up a little bit, but we did another test with a different type of adhesive, and that seemed to work much better. So I think in the spring, when we put it back down again, I think we'll see a lot better results. But while we only had 23 reservations, there were plenty of times where we went down there and saw people just playing, just picking it up and going and using the court, so that was great. We also installed, again, due to the fiscal year, and by the time we got the product, we installed Moby mats at both of the beaches right at the end of the season. They were only out for a few weeks. Those are mats that get put down, so we have access into the water. So anybody with any kind of disability or wheelchairs, things like that, can actually get down to the water. They've been pulled in for the season, and they'll get put back out each summer season. So you'll see those out again. And right now, we're just really doing, starting up our leaf cleanup and winterization of the facilities that are seasonal. And then we've had a bunch of events over the summer. We had a concert with Baywater Properties, we had a pickleball tournament, we had a luau, which went well. We recently had a movie, How to Train Your Dragon, and most recently, just on Sunday, we had our first Halloween pup parade and costume contest. Other than one little technical problem, it was a nice event. We couldn't have gotten better weather. We had about 50 dogs. They were really cute, very creative with some of the costumes that we had. So it was great. And obviously, we've made notes for what we can do for next year's to make it bigger and better. So with that, I'm happy to take any questions.
So let us know if you needed a new appropriation for a sound system. When it was not working, I had to stand in and yell at the top of my lungs, but that whole event was a lot of fun. I did have a question.
Yep.
How much, so they had a giant room-sized pumpkin.
Yes.
And so the contest was to guess how much that pumpkin weighed.
Yes.
How much did that pumpkin weigh?
895 pounds.
895 pounds, and it was delivered by truck.
It came in a pickup truck, and then we had a skid steer to take it off. It was on a pallet, put it in place, decorated around it, and then we put it back on the truck, and the farmer took it off. We did have another pumpkin. We had a live carver that was there, did a nice Darien logo. So right now it's firming up, and our hope is we'll be putting it outside Town Hall in the next day or so. You'll see that pop up.
Yeah, I did a post, which I think the town website or town Instagram reposted of just pictures from that event. It was a lot of fun. So all that new stuff, everybody seemed to have had a great time, so it's terrific.
Yep.
What are the other fall or, say, Christmas events, just so that people can start to get those on their calendar?
Sure.
What's up next?
The next one that we have coming up is the old-fashioned holiday.
Okay.
I can't remember the date off the top of my head. I
So that'll be
think
back
it's
at
December
Tilly Pond?
6th,
The
I
Tilly
believe.
Pond again? 6th?
So that'll be at Tilly Pond.
Okay.
That's our next main big event. And then there'll be some others. We have
There's a tree lighting at the
the
sports
tree
shop.
lighting, which it was the 30th of November. It's always the Sunday
Okay.
after Thanksgiving, so I believe that's the set date. We're having a meeting actually this week on that. And then we've got a few things coming up in January and February.
Okay. Only other question is, where is the commission on pickleball capacity in town? So I know they've had a committee that's worked on that. Is there any update that people should hear?
I think there's still obviously a feeling that there is a need for some more courts somewhere. They thought the pickle roll court was helpful, but it's not something that serious players are going to want to play on. But that might be a way to help kind of offset some of the people from Cherry Lawn, maybe to go over there and utilize that. We're also thinking maybe we can shift some lessons or something to that court. But it's still, that committee is not an active committee at the moment.
Got it. Okay. Questions for Jen?
Jen, really quick, couple of them.
Sure.
The lifeguards.
Yes.
Why did they stick around?
I mean,
Did
that's-
they not go back to school, or do they?
No, I think they did. I think some of it was just timing, and it could be that, I'm not sure if we had a few more that were maybe high
Younger.
school. you run into the issue with sports and things like that, but it changes year to year. I think last year we were able to keep them for the whole season, or have enough anyway, so that we could fully staff. But in previous years, it's not always the case.
Right. And then I know I asked you this before, but on the dailies, you don't break out if it's a Darien resident or
No.
not, right? Okay.
No.
And then I thought it was adorable. One of my questions was, how did that event turn out? And I thought it was really cute that you led with, we had 50 dogs. So that's great. How many people do you think you had?
It was a few hundred. Some of the interesting, that there were some people there that didn't even have dogs.
Okay.
That
That's
just
what I was
came,
wondering.
that just came to see what was going on. So it was a few hundred, probably about 300
I would say
or
it
something.
was a really good turnout. I mean, there's this one dog, it was the winning dog,
Oh,
so it says,
yeah.
dressed up as a prisoner, bad pet, charge, disturbing the peace with excessive barking. It was fantastic. Everybody-
One of the best things, too, was we did have the police department was there with the canine doing some different demonstrations as well. Obviously, we were trying to make it all dog-related, and the officers took a picture with that little, with the dog, so it was cute.
Yeah. I think it's interesting also that 20% of our beach users are seniors.
Yep.
I think that's something we should pay attention to.
Anything else for Jen? Thank you.
Thank you.
Mr. Kaufman?
Good morning.
Good morning.
The finance department is really kind of between two worlds right now. We're wrapping up on the budget, wrapping up on the audit and kicking off the budget. On the audit side, the auditors kind of came in September to do their final field work. Hopefully this or next week we'll have their first draft of the financials for us to kind of complete with statistics and so on, and have that kind of completed towards mid-November or so. You have a summary and a bit of detail on the preliminary year-end financials. The overall result was about 1.2 million to the good. We had been tracking on the revenue side. The property taxes were up, investment income was up by about $1 million, Board of Ed was underspent by about 600,000, and so on. So it goes into detail on that. On the expenditure side, there were savings mainly on salary side as well. In terms of the fund balance, of course, it's unaudited, but we're at about 34.5 million, which there is a typo here, is 18.73 of the FY26 adopted budget. So that's about 12.5-ish million over the 12% threshold that we kind of like to keep it as versus operating budgets. So on to the budget side of things. We've had the offsite, I guess it was a couple weeks ago or last week, to go over kind of the transition into using Munis as our budgeting tool for FY27.
As opposed to OpenGov.
As opposed to OpenGov. I've only heard good things. Someone said, I couldn't believe how easy and improved it is, which is a good testimonial.
Yeah, I'm sorry, this is because Munis improved their budget system.
They did. They had some big improvements over the past couple years. They've kind of moved towards these like central modules within Munis, and their budget entry central is pretty good. We were able to migrate over all the data, all the line item data from OpenGov pretty seamlessly. It was something like 12,000 lines of data that thankfully was able to be imported and not manually entered. And so within there, it's pretty good. It also is able to export out into Excel into a way that hopefully, while we're building kind of the budget file for FY27, will be a little more user-friendly. And since there probably is a little bit less accessibility in terms of online access that OpenGov had, we'll try to put out some sort of documents on the town's website under the budget section so that people have access to it should they need to. You also have in the back kind of I would say the most recent financials from the Board of Finance meeting last month. We have one today, so they're not really the most recent financials. But these are early months, and during those early months, we're really focused on wrapping up the audit as much as possible. So there are some things that are kind of not quite fully booked yet within these financials. So I'd say stay tuned for this coming Board of Finance meeting for a more up-to-date version of those.
I didn't have a chance to go through this in detail, but just on your first dot point there about result of operations, so total contribution to fund balance of 1.2 million, is that kind of the aggregate number, or am I missing something?
No, so it's a total addition to the fund balance of 1.2 million. So if you flip to page 3, is kind of the year-end summary, where the unassigned fund balance at the beginning of FY25 was 33.2 million, and at the
got it, that's what I was missing. Okay, that makes sense.
Yeah, end of 25 is about 35 million.
Terrific. I don't have any questions. A good report. Anyone have any questions for Josh? Marcia, Monica?
No, I just, I do note that investment income was a big driver in the increase, and I was wondering what the balance is, so it's 12. We're 12 and a half over?
12 and a half over the 12%?
Yeah.
Correct, yeah.
Okay.
About, unaudited, but about,
Okay.
yeah.
Okay. Josh, thank you.
Yep.
And so, is next police, Jennifer, or am I missing others that we're supposed to be doing from the?
I went back and looked, and fire marshal is red checked on one of my lists that I received. Are you planning to present, Bobby? Okay.
Sorry, you're not seeing us at our best this morning. I will.
Okay.
Mr. Bush.
Good morning, all.
Good morning.
Just to highlight a few things, the HHR project continues to move along. Hit a big milestone for the end of summer in order to open school. Ongoing inspections that we had to do to ensure everything was ready and safe for the students. They have another big milestone coming up for the Christmas, New Year's break to swap over some of the classrooms that will then go into renovation and rooms will be turned back over. So that will be a big, difficult transition point. We know it's not going to be easy because it's a very short window. They're starting to realize that they really don't have a lot of work days there. Heights Crossing successfully opened up. Apartments are filling, retail spaces are filling. We've got several of the retails that will be in over the next 2 quarters. Corbin District, as you can see, is booming along. We're already seeing plans for permits for some of the retail spaces. Thorndale Circle is mostly demolished for the new apartments. Parkman's Drive is demolished and foundation work has started. And the apartment building at the corner of Sedgwick and Old Kings Highway North, the former Bank of America building there, is moving along. Other than that, we had 4 fireworks shows over the summer between the town, Woodway Country Club, and 2 shows at the Country Club at Darien. A successful fire drill here last month with participation from staff. Other than that, I'd be happy to answer any questions.
How are you on just staffing and coverage of all this new activity? Because as a reminder, it's not just inspections for these new properties. You're going to have to do these inspections for these properties forever.
Right.
So where are you on staffing up to meet
We
that
are
demand?
currently recruiting for an additional deputy fire marshal position. Applications closed on Friday. We'll be reviewing applications this week, interviewing probably over the next couple of weeks, and hopefully being able to get an offer out before Thanksgiving so that the person can start early January.
And then how did the renovations to the office area down there for the fire marshal?
Renovations went great.
Yeah.
It was
What's the
very
big
smooth.
change, anything? What's the big change, anything for?
So the big change was the ceiling that was in that office space from when that addition was built on this building in the 50s has been replaced with a new drop ceiling. Carpet was replaced.
Which is the first time it's been replaced since the 50s.
Yes.
Okay.
So when they renovated this building from the junior high at the time to town hall, that section of the building basically was not touched. Room 119 was renovated about 10 or 12 years ago. When we moved additional space about 8 years ago for our office, we got some paint, some walls, and that center space, our core office area, had not been touched since it received its coat of paint when we moved down there 30 years ago. So it looks much better, it's much more inviting, and we're still in search of additional space with our staffing, because we're going to be tight on space with one additional person, and there'll be an ask for an additional full-time position for next fiscal.
Got it. Okay. Questions for Bobby?
By just a quick one, on the blight, they're accruing a $100 fine a day?
$100 a day, yes, everybody that is being fined.
So how do you send them a bill like every month or something, just so they're aware that, what that number is?
So the board assesses the fines, and they, in turn, they have these, they're bringing them in to the meetings, they invite them to come to the meetings. Everybody has been made aware, plus the 3 properties that continue to accrue fines that are in foreclosure proceedings.
Yep.
Do we charge interest on that? I mean, are they really aware of what this number is? I'm guessing.
I'm not 100%, but I am fairly confident that they are well aware that they are all being fined. They've been served notice by certified letter and by a sheriff.
Okay.
Yeah, plus the fines don't kick in until a period of time trying to work with those homeowners. And so
ongoing, working with the property owner, trying to get compliance.
Yep.
And finally, when they, see that nothing's getting done, that's when the board decides to start fighting.
Okay.
Yeah, because it's an important thing for residents to know that, look, we are going to enforce blight rules, which we're doing right now, and anyone or any property that's getting fined, it's only after a process of really trying to work with the owners of that property to try to get this cleaned up, and that fines are the next to the last resource that we would use. The last one, of course, is foreclosure.
Yeah.
But it's important to know that blight rules are important. People who've paid money to live in this town deserve to have blight rules enforced, and we will enforce them.
Right. The goal is to bring it up to an acceptable standard, not to see if we can make money.
Yep, exactly. Okay. Thank you, Bob.
Thanks, Bobby.
Thank you.
All right, anything after fire marshal, just to go down to police?
Police.
Police is next. Chief, good morning.
Good morning, everyone. I think I'd have to say that this quarter was pretty much status quo for the police department, surprisingly, which is not terrible news. But in addition to the report, I just wanted to add on maybe where there's some clarification needed. We had, seemed like from this quarter versus the same quarter this time last year, our larcenies were up. And a lot of them, which we've noticed, are stemming from identity theft cases. We have, seems like we hear it over the radio every day, people coming into the lobby of police headquarters reporting that their identity in some fashion has been compromised. And those reports get classified as larceny reports, especially when there's a financial loss attached to it. We had a short spree of issues where package thefts off of people's front porches were occurring. A lot of that stemmed around Apple products being delivered up to homes somehow. On the inside, it must have been compromised where they knew these deliveries were going to take place, and suspects were kind of tracking the progress of the deliveries and were able to make off with the products. However, we did make several arrests in those incidents, and we thank our partnering neighboring agencies that assisted us with some of those investigations. We've also had a lot of retail theft at the chain stores. I've mentioned it before. These nationwide change, CVS, Walgreens, Lululemon, they have these policies where it's really a hands-off type thing when people are shoplifting. They don't want anybody to get hurt. They don't want their employees to be put in unsafe situations. So they are getting away with the products that they come in to shoplift, and that lends to, we have a robbery statistic here, and the only reason we have a robbery statistic is that was an incident that occurred at the Lululemon. It was an organized retail theft where two women walked in and just took a whole bunch of merchandise off the walls and walked out. But in this case, one of the employees tried to intervene and was pushed and shoved to the ground. So as soon as force enters the equation there, it gets carried as a robbery at that point. Staffing levels, we're down 3 officers. We're about to put 1 in the academy starting the first week in November, and we have opened up our hiring process once again and anticipate in filling those additional 2 spots before the end of the year. We have a promotion ceremony tonight. 3 officers they have been promoted. We're just formally recognizing them. Lieutenant Stuart Schwanger, Sergeant Greg Benedetto, and Sergeant Mike DeSantis. So we're excited for them. Something that wasn't on the report, I don't believe it was on the report. We have our internship program running at full speed. We had our first summer intern that went very, very well. I credit Captain Hedema for that program, and it was eye-opening, I think, both for the intern and everybody that got to work with her. She was a nice young resident from town here. And we just started the second internship for the fall, and a nice young man from University of New Haven in the criminal justice program. He started with us last week or the week before, and he's with us on Tuesdays, Thursdays, and Saturdays, and he gets to sit in on a variety of activities and capacities that we serve in, and kind of satisfies his internship program. And I think a quick side note to that, the officers have really enjoyed they're not training this person or this intern, but they're really enjoying the aspect of being able to expose them to a lot of the stuff that might not be seen if you weren't riding along with somebody or taking a ride to court or sitting in on the dispatch center, that type of thing. So it's been successful on both levels for us. And then lastly, I just wanted to point out that our license plate reader camera program has been very successful. In fact, a report was provided to me last week with some statistics, and I thought I'd share. We have 13 automatic license plate readers in town. 12 of them are at fixed locations, strategic locations around town. One of them is mobile, so we can put it in hot spots or where we see fit. From the period of September 17th to October 15th, our license plate, in totality, all of our cameras read over 2.5 million license plates. So that doesn't mean there's 2.5 million cars coming through town. A lot of these locations have cameras facing both ways, so one car goes by, that's 2 reads. But it's been very successful. We've had, that same time period, our officers have performed over 600 searches of the databases looking for information leading to closure of an investigation or assistance or some other type of emergency service. 26 incidents, criminal incidents that took place in town over this calendar year. We've used that system, and it's led to the identification of a vehicle or identification of an operator. And I know it doesn't really help the town of Darien, but I thought I'd share 2 scenarios or 2 incidents that took place that assisted the city of Stamford. We had Farmington had an incident where clearly an emotionally disturbed individual took his children hostage, basically, and there was a silver alert issued, came all the way south from Farmington, and the vehicle was picked up on our license plate reader cameras, and that was quickly relayed to surrounding towns, and the vehicle was then located in Stamford. And if you remember, it's about a month ago now, Stamford was able to stop the vehicle at a pretty busy intersection, and there was almost a 6-hour standoff, hostage type standoff, but it did resolve successfully. And I don't think it would have took place or would have been completed that way if it wasn't for this technology. One other incident in Stamford, and unfortunately tragic, but over the summer there was a 13-year-old a young man who was on a e-bike or e-scooter, I forget which it was, and was struck by a vehicle and killed, and the vehicle left the scene. Unfortunately, Stanford's area license plate reader camera was not functioning properly. However, the vehicle was picked up on ours on Hoyt Street, led to the identification of not only the vehicle but the operator, and that investigation is still kind of underway, but they at least know who that was. Doesn't bring that young man back, but it definitely assisted in the investigation. It's been used to identify suspicious vehicles, or people thought were suspicious vehicles, but it really was just an Amazon vehicle that pulled in their driveway to make a delivery. And even as recent as this weekend, on Saturday, we had a vehicle, middle of the day, run over one of those beautiful light poles that are the decorative light poles along the sidewalks in downtown Darien, and take off from the scene. But we were able to capture it on the license plate reader cameras and identify the individual. So it's been very helpful.
So if there's an alert, like an Amber Alert or Silver Alert or whatever it is, and that license plate gets picked up in Darien, do you guys immediately get like a message or warning at the dispatch center? Where does it go?
Anybody who's logged into the system, in our system, so yeah, the dispatchers, obviously, supervisors, on-duty personnel, they'll all get those alerts. And we had 56 in that same time period that I mentioned, September to middle October. We had 56 hot list alerts. That meant that there were stolen vehicles already entered into the system, or vehicles that are involved in felonies such as shootings or kidnappings, or just plates that we want to enter locally because it was involved in an incident, and we enter it into a hot list type category. And when that white Honda drives down Post Road by Renshaw Road, we're able to know that at least it's in the area, and we can stop it and conduct further questioning if needed.
So Chief, you said that there's one that's mobile. Are the ones that are permanent, are they able to be converted to mobile
No.
if you needed? Okay, so.
No, that had to go through permitting processes with DOT, and they're fixed, they're drilled into the ground, they're mounted, and but those locations were highly vetted, both from our officers, our detectives, the town, and the vendor that we're using. And a lot of it has to do with solar, because they all run on solar. But we believe that we have them in the proper first initial locations, and we're looking to expand that program too for a few more.
Okay.
Okay. Just as a reminder to everybody, these are passive cameras. So if you drive by and there's nothing wrong with your car, there's no alert or anything
Correct.
like that. This is only if there's a car that's identified that's got a problem, ranging from a criminal charge or involvement in some activity to, say, expired license plate, that type of thing.
Mm-hmm. Okay. And I don't want to let out all our secrets, but all of our police vehicles are equipped with dash cameras, and they have been for many years. But the new technology in the dash cameras are also license plate readers. So even if the officer's driving by one of these vehicles that's entered as stolen or wanted for a certain particular crime, the police vehicle itself is going to pick up on it as well.
Yeah, I went on a ride with Sergeant Jimenez last year, and it comes right up on the screen when you pass a car like that. In that instance, we passed somebody who had an expired registration, and it just pops up on the screen that it's expired, but it's instantaneous.
That's pretty AI, really, yeah.
Now, I can't really put my finger on it. I was talking with Tony earlier, but thankfully, motor vehicle burglaries and car thefts are down significantly in town. And I don't know if there's a correlation between having the cameras in town. If a stolen car comes in town in the middle of the night, our staff knows. And a lot of these crimes are perpetrated while using previously stolen vehicles from other parts of the state. So we had a slow summer in that sense as far as stolen vehicles being in and around town. And I'm just not so sure that the license plate reader cameras had something to do with that.
I mean, it is stunning. It's down from 23 for the third quarter last year to 2. I mean, that's dramatic.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's the biggest difference I've seen in quite some time.
Right.
Yeah, and I think part of maybe some of the messaging that you guys have been doing, but have you seen that in neighboring towns, that same drop? Because that's pretty significant.
No, in fact, I don't want to give bad data.
Okay.
I don't have it at my fingertips
Got
here,
it.
but what I will say too is if you notice in our custodial arrests, that we've had those up significantly. A lot of those arrests are as a result of investigations by our detective bureau, and a lot of them have to do with follow-ups on investigations of previously stolen cars in the last 6 months, year, 2 years, 3 years, and a lot of this, it's not a secret, but, you know, when we go and process a stolen car that got stolen from, you know, Chasmar's Pond, and it's recovered in Waterbury, our detectives go up there and they're looking through evidence of that vehicle to see if we can identify who the suspects are. And sometimes that may just be doing a DNA swab of a rear view mirror, because they adjust the rear view mirror and your fingerprints are on that, and that data and that DNA sample gets sent to the state for a sample to be entered in the system. Now, we might not get an identification right off the bat because that person's probably a juvenile and their information and DNA is not in the system yet. Now they turn 18, they get arrested for another crime, and their information gets put in the system, and now they make the match, and then we're able to close out a case that happened in 2022.
Got it.
So I don't think a lot of the, not to speak bad of our neighboring agencies or our other partners, but we do follow through on these investigations. And during the police commission meetings, I really try and credit our detective bureau and our patrol divisions, because just because it's over doesn't mean that we're not going to follow up. And, you know, we have a lot of tools and techniques and tips to follow through on these investigations, and a lot of them come to a successful close.
And the only other question I had is, I was glad to see that you got the aggressive driving grant for July and August. I guess that's what's driving the higher arrest rates or enforcement rates that you had over the
And also
period.
lowering the accident rate as well.
Right.
Again, it's very difficult to use that as a measurement of reducing accidents when most of our accidents actually are in parking lots, believe it or not, that we have to record and submit to the state. But they were down this quarter. It's typical for the time of year. But I credit Tim Budd, of our traffic division. He filed for that grant the last 2 years, and our officers stepped up and worked the street, so to speak, and were heavy on traffic enforcement. I think it was pretty visible and noticeable.
Good deal. Other questions for the chief? Thank you, sir.
You're going to ask me about e-bikes? I know. Everybody.
Well, let's extend the meeting until 3 o'clock this afternoon to talk about e-bikes. There's plenty been said on all that. Let's see, Mr. Ostafine, Public Works.
Good morning. Darren Ostafine, standing in for Ed Gentile, who's not here with us today. I understand you folks like to hear about the top 5.
Yes, sir.
Yep.
Gorham's Pond is the big news for us. We are declaring the dam finished. Our FEMA deadline is October 30th, which we have beat. We have a few punch list items to do, some of which are not small. The dam is functioning as intended. Survived our first nor'easter, which wasn't really much rain, but if you go by there, you'll see the contractor is demobilizing. The machinery should be moved. There's some paving coming up off the ramp to the dam. That'll happen today or tomorrow. The contractor will leave the site. They'll be back to take care of some punch list items. But for all intents and purposes, the dam is complete. There still remains a lot of work to be completed with regards to seeking the FEMA funding. We've already begun working with the finance director, thanks to Josh for starting to pull together some of the information that we're going to need to submit, and also the emergency management director, who has been our liaison with FEMA, instrumental in getting on the portal and keeping track of our deadlines, and he's going to help us with submitting the paperwork. So that's pretty much it for Gorham's Pond. One of the bigger punch list items, we're also working with the harbor master and the boat club. A couple of the piles were damaged when they came in at first with their barge, and busted a couple piles and set them in the wrong place, but we're working through that. It does not affect the dam. The dam is completed.
Yeah, I got an email from a resident, or I was copied on one, Dougal actually, that sent that note that said there were some problems with that, but that's all being addressed.
A resident?
I got an email about some of that damage that's still being addressed. Is that correct? Is that what you're talking about?
Part of the project was planting of new seagrass where the seagrass was disturbed, and that's been done. There's also a tree issue with the adjacent property owner, which we're working through.
There's always a tree issue.
The tree issue, okay, yeah. That hasn't been resolved. That's a punch list item that
Okay.
we need to resolve.
Yeah, I went and walked by and took a close look at it on Sunday. It looks terrific. They did really an amazing job. I mean, it's so much better than what it was before, so well done.
Thank you. I hope that the dam outlives all of us here in the room.
The other thing I wanted to just thank you for was that a lot of times when you have these projects, just having regular communication about what's going on and what people can expect. People will tolerate and put up with a lot as long as they have that communication, and you had regular emails to the community that was involved with this, were residents, all that, and kept them informed. I thought that was terrific. We should do that for all the projects. Really well done.
Thank you very much for that, and I agree with you because I received a lot of positive feedback. I mean, people who didn't even have a follow-up question would just email and say, thanks for keeping me updated.
Yeah, so they know.
Thank you.
Terrific, really great. What's next?
Go on?
Yep.
Okay, Great Island driveway improvement, that's the next big project that we have going at the time right now. There's a series of walls, which is what we're working on right now. There's 3 different walls. So the footings for wall number 1, which is the one closest to the road, that's going to be poured tomorrow. It's scheduled to be poured on Wednesday. Wall number 2, which is down in the valley, if you travel the road, with a little luck, we'll pour that on Friday before the end of the week. Wall number 3, the bottom section of the wall has been poured. The wall has been backfilled, and they're going to start erecting the top section of the wall. The drainage is ongoing. We've done some of the drainage in Pear Tree Point Road already. We had an engineer on site yesterday to check some of the soils for the infiltration portion of the drainage system. And we've been in constant contact with our structural engineer throughout the project, so all the steel, I've been doing the steel inspection, concrete inspection with them involved. And we've been working closely with the land use boards here who, from time to time, are made aware of perceived issues.
Okay. Okay, next.
Keep going?
Yep.
What's next? Norton Heights Railroad Station parking lot. That was done back in August. We worked together with the depot. We worked together with Post 53. We kept their operations functional. We worked with the residents. We put flyers on windshields. We only had to tow about a dozen cars. So that was pretty good with our VMS boards. Most people listened, all the electronic signboards, and the advance notification. Also, Marley did an email blast on social media. So, you know, it was very well done, I think. We paved on a Saturday. We line striped on a Sunday. We had to do the milling during the week, but we pushed that to the end of the week to time it when the commuter volume is a little bit lower. So I think it worked out well. We still have that circular pattern by the actual train station building, the drop-off loop there. That's not done. That's going to be done in our next paving cycle.
One thing I got comments on was the fact that the parking spaces in Norton Heights in the lots are actually a little wider now than they were before. Is that correct? That to get them more conform with the
I'd have to take a tape measure and measure, but it shouldn't be.
Okay.
We provided our line striping guy with aerial photos and plans of what to put back, so that they should be the same size. The standard is 9 feet wide and 20 feet long, and that's
So maybe they were just clear lines, like that's what helped people, so you could see them, which was hard to do before.
That's
Anyway,
possible.
that turned out well, it's great.
But also, we did put a sidewalk in from Post 53 all the way down, and from Hollow Tree Ridge also. Now the south platform is handicap accessible and pedestrian accessible. That changed our parking spots a little bit. That necessarily pushed took up some real estate, so.
Okay.
Hey, Darren, did you pave entirely behind the depot?
Yes.
You did, great, because there
All the
was
way.
some, perfect.
Well, to be clear, we did not pave the basketball
What
court
about
itself.
the basketball court? Okay.
Everything else, where their picnic tables were, we moved them and we paved.
Yeah, because I hear that they do events outside, so that's great that you guys got that. So going back to communication and the 12 cars that were towed, were they all towed on one day?
No.
Okay.
Nope, it could be a milling operation, or it could be a paving operation. I got a call from one guy, a gentleman, who was very, very nice, worked with us, but he was frantic. He said, I just can't get there. He found out about this, and he said, I just can't get there. What am I supposed to do? I said, nothing. Just go on the other side and pick your car up. We're going to park it over there. Don't worry about it.
Okay, that was my next question, is where do they go?
Oh, yeah. Nothing
Okay.
went to
impounding them.
Stanford or
Okay.
some parking lot.
That's what I didn't
And we also
understand.
work with the police department to make sure, because they got a few calls, where's my car? It's over there,
Right. Okay.
so.
Okay.
Sanitary sewer, not really too exciting, but pretty important. We're trying to take the groundwater and rainwater out of our sewer system. It's a lot of money. It's necessary. The infrastructure is obviously aging. It's always in need of work. There's not enough time and money to take care of this problem all at once. We are chiseling away at it, and when I say chiseling away, it's not like we're taking little bites. We are doing cleaning, internal televising, lining of pipes, inspecting and sealing manholes where necessary. The frames and covers are being replaced. We're doing everything we can to stop the water from getting into our system. I know you folks know this, but it bears repeating. Every drop of water that we collect in Darien ends up in Stanford, and we pay for every drop. And when I say we, I mean the sewer ratepayer of Darien. So we're doing this work with sewer money, trying to save the sewer user money. Right now, our contractor is in town. They're working, and the only holdup really is getting a permit on state roads. Other than that, we're out there moving. So.
Do you want to highlight just briefly, I know the Sewer Commission has an effort to try to correct where maybe sump pumps or drainage from individual homes are going into the stormwater system, and that effort to try to make people aware of that and provide some fines if they can't cooperate. Do you want to briefly summarize that program?
Yeah. I just mentioned we're going to internally televise pipes. We're going to clean them. We're going to seal them. We're going to make sure our pipes are not leaking. But we could do all of that, and if somebody has a sump pump in their basement and there's a sewer pipe there, it's very easy to just connect it to the sewer pipe, and their problem goes away, but that creates a problem for us. And what we see is during a rainstorm or periods of high groundwater that our flows are up. Well, that's 2 and 2 is 4. There's a reason. We're getting water in our system that is not sewage. So there's no real way to stop it unless we do something like sump pump removal ordinance that we're trying to get passed through your board and RTM. So if we can do that, we're starting, it's our first try. We're starting out not trying to find people, but trying to get people educated and get people to do the right thing. So if you can, we're going to ask residents to fill out an affidavit, and they can be the qualified person. They can go down in their basement and see where does the sump pump go. If the sump pump goes through the wall, it's probably not connected to the sewer, because the easiest thing to do is to connect it to the sewer in the basement. So there's a box on the form. You can say, I don't know where it goes. It goes outside someplace. You can check that box and sign it and send it in. Not going to find you. If you know where it goes, discharges in that river, goes into the catch basin, you can check that box. You can take a photograph. If you see that your sump pump is connected to a sewer, you can take a photograph of that and say, yeah, it's connected. And then the sewer commission will give you 6 months or something like that to disconnect it. Take another photo. Thank you very much for putting your sump pump water someplace else. That's how we're starting out. The sewer commission has said repeatedly, not trying to find anybody, not trying to get rich off of this, but it's costing a lot of money to get rid of that sump pump water and to upgrade our aging infrastructure.
And do you have a sense of how much it's costing the town to process stormwater? I thought you guys had estimated that.
That would be a good question for Ed, because he keeps all his budget numbers right in his head. But I would say that just to give you an idea of the scale, we know how much water people in Darien use for their house. That's how we bill you. We have access to your water bills. There's also meters, at least 4 of them, on the way to Stamford, which tells us how much of our sewage is going to Stamford. And that number's about double.
So it's a lot.
It's a lot.
Okay.
Yeah.
All right. Well, I applaud you for fixing that. Let's wrap up just briefly on salt box drainage.
We're pushing the design forward. We meet every couple of weeks with our consultant. We review the design, we update it. We just finished the bathymetric survey in Holly Pond at the inlet from this project, the outlet from this project to the inlet of Holly Pond. So we now know how much sediment there is, and we can start to quantify those things. And
if you were to estimate when people would start to see construction work start, when might that be? Just roughly?
Not 2025, maybe 2026, summer 2026 would be optimistic, I think.
Okay, summer, fall, good. Any other questions on Public Works for Darren? Monica, no?
Thank you. Oh, yeah, Darren. Yes. The food scrap, significant drop off there. What can we do to change that? It's like down 20%.
I don't know. It fluctuates. Is it?
That's pretty.
When you say 20%, is it 20%? It routinely goes up and down, and the numbers are so small. Like you're talking about 3 or 4 tons.
Well, it went from 12.8 to 12 to 11.4 to 11 to 9.9. So the trend is your friend, or in this case, not your friend. So.
I don't think it's a trend.
Okay.
Because we continue to sell food composting kits. I would say that when I look at the graph, it seems to fluctuate like a heartbeat. So there's going to be ups and downs, but I should have a linear regression line on there, which shows an overall increase in the usage of the program.
Yeah.
So
let's talk about it.
I would say we probably, it could be a short-term thing right now.
Okay. And then your Q alerts, you changed the system, and so it took a little time to get the uptake there. But looking at year over year, they're up about 20%. Are we getting more complaints, or?
I believe that people are just now getting used to our new system.
Okay.
So we went from Q Alert to C Click Fix, and as soon as we did that, we noticed a huge drop-off
Right.
in complaints or concerns or work requests, which is interesting to me because, A, everything's the same, you just don't know how to put it in. You're making a phone call to our office or whatever instead, or you're ignoring a dead deer, for example, something like that. So, and slowly but surely, now we're starting to get back over that 5-year average. You are correct. I did notice an increase in that.
We also put a communication in the town newsletter, alerting people to the fact that they can submit a request that, and encouraging people to put in their requests or their notifications that way, so that it's more efficient for DPW to address them.
Maybe that's what it was.
Okay.
Thanks. That's it.
All right, other questions? All right, I think that's it for this quarter. Jennifer, is that right? Anyone else?
I also have town clerk on the list.
Town clerk's on the list. Okay,
Thanks.
that is also in black. Krista, good morning.
Good morning, everyone. Sorry, last but not least. Before I got into the details of my report, I thought it'd be helpful to put it in context of the goals that I have for the office. You know, as you know, the responsibilities and the tasks of the town clerk reside both in the town charter and in state statute. The town charter, of course, dictates my relationship with the RTM. The RTM itself is a product of the town charter, because there are not that many RTMs even in the state. State statute dictates everything else we do: dog licenses, land records, election official, absentee ballots, etc. So those are the responsibilities of the job. But my goals are, how can I deliver these services in the best possible way for our community and for the people with whom we do business? So customer service is a huge aspect of my office and my goal and my focus, and every day think about how can we do it better, overlaid with how can I do it efficiently and with respect to the taxpayer. So always with those two things juggling when I approach the day, every day. So with those goals, one item I neglected to put in the report, I applied for and was successfully granted a grant from the state library for $7,000. That money comes from our land record filings from everyone across the state. Darien gets $7,000 as a medium-sized town, and that money's being used for bringing our land records back online. And the benefit to the community is I'm a land attorney and I'm working on a closing, and it is Friday and we're closed. So that land record attorney can get online and see these documents. So it's a huge plus. I'm a realtor. I have my open house on Thursday. I need to pull something. They can do that Wednesday night. I'm a homeowner. It's the weekend. I'm going to meet with my attorney to put my home in a trust, and I need to get a copy of my deed. That person can do it from their home. So there's a huge benefit to this. Of course, using a grant, respectful to the taxpayer. Didn't cost the town any money. So the vendor was in on Thursday doing the most recent scanning. When that is completed, it'll be online. They said in about a month, we'll be back to 2003. That's good. It's not great. We could be better. I'd like to get to 40 years. As I understand, 40 years is a complete title search. So more to come on that, but that's sort of out in the wings and where I'd like to get to. I wanted to bring up the topic of this search capability, again, land records online, that there's been talk in the community and in the press recently about fraudulent filings. And I want to make sure you all and those watching that at any point in the day, you can go on and search for any record filed under your name on our land records. You check your bank statements, you check your credit card statements. You can put a periodicity when you check your land records. It's free, and if there's any question, you can come into the office and we'll pull the document. So people have asked about that. I've advertised it with Marley in the newsletter. Alternatively, there is a product the town could buy, and it is an alert system. I've chosen not to do that, again, trying to be respectful to our taxpayer because it's a free service. But But if you're feeling you're hearing a lot from people who would like to have an alert system, I mean, I'm certainly open to the suggestion, but it's a free service. I've chosen not to go down that route, but I'm just throwing it out there so you're aware that it is an option.
I'm not getting calls personally about that. Are you seeing a significant number of requests?
I've seen a couple of people who have come in after I put it in the newsletter. It's not a huge rush by any means. Some of our neighboring towns do offer it, so I obviously want to be very transparent as to what it is and why I chose not to pursue it.
Have there been any attempts at fraudulent title conveyance or any of that in your tenure that you've seen for the town?
For the town, I understand there was a homeowner who spends a lot of time in Florida who has land in Allwood, that there was potentially some filing there in Allwood, but that's one. So by no means do I think it's a problem, but if you hear about it, and again, it is offered in other communities, it's free to the user, but an expense to town.
What would the alert do? It would just send an email to the homeowner
Exactly.
or to you suggesting there's
homeowner.
been a change in their...
There's been a filing in your name. But again, you can do that every Sunday morning. You wake up and run a search with your name. So I'm happy to help anybody in the community who needs assistance with that. I don't think it's not a huge problem by any means, but if you hear about it or if you hear from other communities who offer it, I am aware of it. I have chosen not to because we can do it for free. Why would we pay for it? So that's on the alert system. Something else I wanted to pick up back on the Darien Times. I know we referenced it. There was the article last week's edition about sham marriages in the state. So back on the customer service, I think we do a fabulous job with customer service. So we do see a lot of weddings come into our office from all over the place, from all the 5 boroughs. A lot of New Yorkers who chose to come up to Darien to get married. Have I seen the scenario that is expressed in the newspaper? No, we don't see tons of men and women coming in, but we do see concerning couples. We had one young man from Haiti marrying a woman significantly older from North Carolina. 6 months after the ceremony, the young man came in, needed a copy of his marriage license because his wife had disappeared and he needed it for his deportation papers. So we do see unfortunate situations with citizen, non-citizens. But we perform all ceremonies as long as they bring the correct documentation. We will certainly comply with the law and move forward. But it's a big, it was the front page of the Darien Times last week. Also, we did participate in the Park and Rec event on Sunday. My staff was there for anybody who had not licensed their dog and who wanted to take advantage of that. So they said it was a successful event. Our dog licensing rate is down slightly from last year, so we're trying to get the word out to improve compliance. And on sewer bills, picking up a little bit with what Darren was saying, there were 95 liens filed last month by the tax office. Those liens on homeowners were for amounts ranging from $4 to thousands of dollars. So I'm just hoping with compliance, maybe we can try to, or communication, try to get that rate down. It was sort of heartbreaking to see these liens filed on $4, but that being said, they were notified. Maybe a bright yellow card or a bright pink card, that seems to work with us in the dog licensing world. So just throwing it out there as a concern. And happy to answer any questions.
The other question I have is, I know the official notifications that you have to get out for a variety of things are specified in state statute. You have to put it in a local paper. It's got to be done within this time frame, their dates, and all that's attached to that.
Yep.
Given where we are with the Darien Times and its readership and reach not being what it was before, you obviously still have to comply with state law in terms of notifications like that. Have you or your fellow clerks across the state given thought to how to do a better job with those notifications, given that the historical organs that we've used for that don't work as well? The reason I bring that up, there have been a couple of things brought to my attention that were all publicized according to the law, but not maybe in a newsletter or something that we could blast out by email, just so that citizens are aware of things like hearings and that type of thing. And I just wonder whether there's more we should be doing, in your judgment, maybe for certain things, to make sure the community is aware of specifically hearings than we do currently through normal.
Well, that's correct. Most of this is by statute, and the newspaper lobby, of course, in Hartford is strong. So that's one thing, is to work with your representatives in Hartford and to try to get that change. That would be great. That we can't control. As far, I do try to make sure anything that I'm involved with gets as much publicity as possible. I've asked to put it on the front page of the news, working with Linda, the front page of the website, to put stuff up there. I think we could turn that over a little bit more, quite honestly. I think social media, I think we can get more out there on, Instagram and.
Well, one thing I would offer is either through the town newsletter or my newsletter, if there's something out there that's sort of rising to a threshold like that you think is particularly important, just call me and we will make sure that gets.
I think between the newsletter, social media, the front page of the website, reposting it, I think we could, to get the word out, because that's something I think about as, of course, I'm a resident and I'm a taxpayer, is how can we communicate things in a more efficient manner, and maybe we piggyback, I'm sending out my dog license notices, can I tag something on the back of it? Or part of it, not to muddy the message, but some things get people's attention more so than others. My yellow dog card, I think, gets more attention than a business envelope, quite honestly. So, something I think about a lot.
Get the police to arrest these unlicensed dogs, right? So.
Exactly. Well, but it's revenue. We get money from every licensed dog, so I'm also aware of that.
There you go. Questions for Krista?
Hey, Krista, going back to the land use grant.
Yes.
How much was that? Do you see that as an annual grant that you will be able to pursue going forward? And I appreciate your initiative.
Oh, thank you so much. Yes, it's an annual grant. The amount is set on an annual basis. It's divided into 3 tiers: small, medium, and large municipalities. With Darien at our population of 22,000, we continue to fall in the medium size, thank God. So we get the 7,000 if we fell down. And that money is dedicated for historical preservation, but I've chosen to use it to bring these records online.
So is the tipping point 25,000?
No, I think the high end of medium was 50. Yeah, we're far. We're not going to hit large.
Not going to be big.
Yeah, we don't want to hit large. So
great initiative. Thanks.
Thank you.
Terrific. Other questions for Krista? Thank you.
Okay, great. Thanks so much.
Okay. Jennifer, are we done now?
That's all I have on my list.
All right, that's all we need. Okay, Jen, please.
Just quickly, I realized I forgot to announce something that I should really announce, is that on November 8th, we are hosting a food drive to benefit Person to Person. It'll be at the Darien train station between 9 and 12, so we're just going to start our promotions with that, but I realized I left that one off the list, so.
9 to 12, you say? Great. Okay.
9 to 12 at Darien train station on Saturday, November 8th.
And so are you looking for anything in particular, just non-perishables, canned goods?
Mostly non-perishable items.
Okay.
But it'll benefit Person to Person.
And so residents could just drive up, drop off stuff, and like any kind of food. Okay,
absolutely.
Hey, Jen, was that in the past run by the Youth Commission?
Yes.
Are you looking for volunteers? Do you have?
Probably. I believe. Yeah. I mean, we're still in the throes of pulling this together. So if anyone is interested in volunteering at that too, they should just reach out to the Parks and Rec department, and we'll take care of that. Thank you.
Thank you all for coming. Anything else?
No.
Okay, thank you. Motion to adjourn. Monica moves. Marcy seconds. All in favor?